Ayan, pag-usapan natin ang 1.1 billion pesos na maanomalya or anomalya na ginawa ng DICT papunta sa MMDA. So yung 1.1 billion pesos po, ito yung pinag-usapan natin I think 2 weeks ago dahil nag-privilege speech si Paul Daza ng 1st District of Samar, Congressman Paul Daza, kung saan ay binuking niya po itong illegal na pag-transfer ng budget na 4 billion, actually ang total daw nito almost 4 billion na budget ng DICT papuntang MMDA. But kanina pinag-usapan sa hearing, okay, pinag-usapan sa hearing ng Congress kung saan pinamunuan ni Congresswoman Florida Robes, okay, ng Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability ang revelasyon o revelasyon ni Congressman Daza. Ngayon, ang pinag-uusapan na itong project na ito, ang tawag sa project na ito palangga ay ang fiber optic and backbone development and network resiliency, kung saan ay magbibigay ng libre o mag-install ng digital magtatayo ng digital infrastructures para sa libreng Wi-Fi sa ating mga mamamayan, pampubliko. So ito ay susuplayan ng mga eskwelahan at iba pa. Pero palangga, ang nakakapagtaka dito dahil base dun sa hearing sa Congress, narinig ko ang sinabi ng chairwoman of the Committee of Good Government and Public Accountability na si Congresswoman Robes, na tumawag daw sa kanya si DILG Secretary Benhur Abalos na ibabalik na lang daw o pinababalik na daw niya yung 1.1 billion pesos. Doon po ako naalarma na the fact na February 7, 2022 ay wala na si Benhur, si Abalos sa MMDA, bakit siya yung tumawag dito sa chairwoman ng Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability na ibinabalik na nga yan yung pera para wala ng gulo, yung 1.1 billion. Kasi mukhang magulo daw, ganyan-ganyan, so ibalik na. So syempre palangga, mga kaibigan, hindi naman ganun na nabulilyaso yung inyong mga anomalyang kontrata o transaksyon, hindi na, isoli ko na lang kasi ayoko na nagkakagulo ang mga kongreso, di ba? Para matapos na to, isoli ko na lang yung 1.1 billion. So hindi po pwedeng ganun. Once na nagkaroon ng anomalya, tama na imbestigahan kung sino ang mga sangkot dito, mga palangga. So nakakapagduda, liwanagin ko sa inyo na si DILG Secretary Abalos po, wala na po siyang pwesto sa MMDA. Ang involved po na ahensya ng gobyerno dito ay DICT at MMDA. So bakit siya tumawag na isisoli na lang daw yung 1.1 billion? 'Di ba? Ongoing yung investigation. Hindi ka pwedeng balik mo na lang ng ganun-ganon. So imbestigahan kung sino po ang may intensyon na lokohin ng Pilipino. So kasi mga palangga, nung May 2, nung si Romando Artes pa ang chairman, ay na-fail, kumbaga hindi natuloy yung bidding. There's no such thing as bidding. Hindi natuloy yung awarding actually. 'Di ba? Kasi pag sinabi mong bidding, may mga participating other companies. 'Di ba? Kasi yan ang requirement ng batas, nakalagay sa batas na magkakaroon ng fair bidding at open sa public. So nangyari palangga, may failure, failure of bid. So nangyari, that was May. So nawala si Artes, bumalik siya noong October 28, then November 8, 2022, naging successful ang kanilang bidding na 1.1 billion pesos na free public wifi. Pero again, hindi nakalusot sa mata ng mga manunuring congressman natin, particularly na itong si Daza. Ngayon mga palangga, ang mga ang mga nakikita kong pag-uusap talaga nila na mali yung ginawa ng DICT. DICT during sa pamumuno nitong kaintik na ito. At ang nakikita ko po dito na may nakinabang dito. Okay? May nakinabang na, definitely, alam mo naman sa Pilipinas, ang laro, baka mamaya, itong si Awin at Net Pacific, naibigay na yung komisyon ni Artes. 'Di ba? Naibigay na yung komisyon ni Kaintik. 'Di ba? Naibigay na yung kanilang mga kickback dito kasi sure na noong November 8, 'di ba? May mga November 8 na naging successful yung bidding nila. So yun na naman ang nakikita natin na talagang dapat maging mapagmatsyag ang ating mga taong gobyerno, at I'm so grateful dito sa pamunuan nitong Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability na tinutukan nila dito. Ang dami mga explanation doon, pero ang bottom line dito mga palangga, sa isyung 1.1 billion pesos na ito, sino ang taong nasa likod? Sino ang bumasbas dito? 'Di ba? Bakit kailangan ipasekreto nila by Memorandum of Agreement na sila-sila lang, DICT and MMDA, ang mag-aaproba nito, na sa kabila ng sinabi na nga ng Legal Affairs, okay, na teka muna, may anomalya yan, may nakikita silang parang anomalya na rin ang terminology. Actually ang ginamit nila is ultra virus. So ang ibig sabihin na even na sinabi na ng Legal Affairs na maanomalya yan, itinuloy pa rin yung bidding. Kumbaga nag-action sila above, o beyond the legality. So ginawa ng DICT ay itinuloy pa rin, DICT and MMDA. Pero ang malaking katanungan dito, ulit-ulitin ko po, sinabi ng COA doon sa hearing, sinabi ng DBM na yung opinion nila based sa pangyayari ay mayroong technical malversation. Alright? So yun ang sinasabi nila na mayroong maanomalya dito. Kaya nga, naloka na lang ako, bakit itong si Abalos? Alright, baka si Abalos na wala na siyang kinalaman, nasa DILG na siya, February 7 pa siya, wala na sa pwesto, bakit siya yung tumawag dito kay Congresswoman Robes na ibalik na yung 1.1 billion na yan, pinababalik niya na. So ibig sabihin siya yung boss, even though nasa MMDA siya, nasa DILG siya. So ibig sabihin siya ang boss ni Artes. Kasi next hearing sa December 13, ipapatawag ang MMDA chairman. Patawag din si Abalos. Kasi bakit siya tumawag dito sa committee na ibalik na natin yung 1.1 billion. Bakit siya yung tumawag? The fact na siya na yung nasa DILG. Di ba palangga? Siya yung nasa DILG. Bakit ka tumawag? Yun lang naman yung katanungan natin, bakit ka tumawag sa committee kung wala kang kinalaman dito at hindi po pwedeng ganun-ganun na lang na isole ang pera kapag nasilip na may maanomalyang gawain. So bottom line, 1.1 billion ay anomalya based dun sa hearing, at sana managot ang mga taong sangkot dito na nakipagsabwatan para akala nila mailulusot nila yung kontratang itong 1.1 billion. Yan pa lang po yan. Paano yung iba pang mga ano nila? 'Di ba? Mga susunod pang nilang mga anomalya. We're talking about just 1.1 billion. So kawawa na naman yung bayan. So I hope yung ating mga kongresista ay talagang magtrabaho sila at silipin itong mga anomalya na ito. Hay nako, 'di ba mga palangga? Nakakaloka talaga.
Did the MMDA allow enough time or extended submission period to allow more qualified bids? Dahil isa lang to, na kayo ba ay nagkaroon ng extension?
There were compliance with respect to the mandatory number of days, Madam Chair, insofar as Annex C of 9184 IRR is concerned.
All right. Who are the two companies behind the joint venture? Awin and Net Pacific Incorporated. Is Awin the same company that caused a major inconvenience along EDSA nung panahon ng April 2021 nung tayo po ay binibira sa EDS nung panahon na yon?
I would suppose yes, Madam Chair.
He's the contractor.
Yes.
So you think he's qualified?
Madam Chair, that Point
No, I
is
just
not
want is he qualified pag ganyan may problema?
based on 9184, Madam Chair.
Okay. What is the 1984 para maintindihan nila? What is the project?
That's the bidding and procurement law, Madam Chair, 91 RA 9184.
Yeah, what is that? Can you state it?
With respect to the disqualification, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
There are several grounds for disqualification. One of them is failure to include the technical and legal requirements, failure to state
So
the,
let's answer the April 2021 problem of AWIN.
it's not one of the grounds for
Yeah,
disqualification,
so
Madam
I'm
Chair.
asking you, is that an answer sa reklamo ng bayan noong April 2021?
Yes, Madam Chair, it's not one of the disqualifications found in RA 9184.
Okay. Is there no internal rule to deduct substantial points in the scoring system for recent accidents such as this one? For example, for any significant accident that took place within 3 years of the procurement?
Madam Chair, the RA 9184 is not a subjective, insofar as goods and infrastructure is concerned, it's not subjective point system. Only the consultancy aspect of the procurement is subject to the point system. And therefore, what we follow in infrastructure and goods procurement is the lowest qualified bidder as read, Madam Chair.
Okay, I fully understand that, but you could amend, di ba? Pagka ganyan.
We cannot amend the rules unless the GPPB allows our version of the 1984, but I don't think it will be possible because the law already states how the bidders are supposed to be selected, Madam Chair.
Okay, I understand. Kaya siguro nagtatambak ang mga bidding nyo sa DICT kasi hindi talaga pinag-aaralang mabuti. Alright, why did page 9 of the bid document mention that the source of funds as trust funds, kanina po sinabi nyo ito yung trust funds 2022 instead of the ICT?
That is the source of the, Madam Chair, the finance director is here. She would be able to.
Hi ma'am,
Example.
good afternoon.
Nga po ito ay galing po ito sa sa ibang agency. So tinatabi po 'yan para doon lang po ma-allocate magamit yung purpose para sa purpose na 'yon.
Okay. Paano yun kung nagkaroon ng failure of bidding, hindi ba pwede itong ibalik base doon sa sinasabi nating termination for convenience, yung mga ganyan? Hindi pwedeng ibalik kahit trust fund siya. Di ba pwede naman?
Pwede po.
Ah.
Marami na po kami naibalik.
So yung panawagan ni Congressman Daza, pwedeng ibalik?
Pwede naman po.
All right. That's the only thing that I wanted to hear from you all. Maraming salamat po.
Madam Chair, may I do a second round?
Yes,
There's
Your
no
Honor.
other
Yes.
colleagues. Madam Chair, first of all, can we request from you, COMSEC, to have MMDA submit all abstract of bids for previous procurement and contracts for AWIN and or Net Pacific? Could we request that from MMDA? The previous procurement documents, abstract of bids and contracts, and status report for all AWIN and Net Pacific projects, Madam
Okay.
Chair.
Yes, Your Honor. So may we request Mr. Lipana to give us a copy of those, since he just assumed also, and I believe that he has nothing to do with all of those contracts.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lipana. And of course, I'd like to direct the COMSEC to make a review on all the requests of our committee, of our congressman, to include the SEC as required by Congressman Richard Gomez, and now being asked by Congressman Daza.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Madam Chair. In the General Appropriations Act, as pointed out to me, thank you so much, COMSEC, under Section 78 in the general provisions, in the modification of allocation or allotments, which I believe this is one of them, the requirement is the head of the agency must submit some reports and get DBM concurrence. May I ask Secretary Kaintik if they got DBM concurrence or consent for the transfer of funds to MMDA?
As far as I can remember, Madam Chair, I think we coordinated with PBM po, sir.
No, the question is, did you get written consent as required by Section 78 of the GAA?
I will have to refresh my memory on that, sir.
Could the current DICT officials respond to that?
I would have to call on the former admin, Director Bogs Bongato.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Congressman Daza. Sir, as far as I can as I can recall, I cannot recall if we have this approval from DBM.
From DBM.
So
Okay.
we will have to check.
Okay. For the record, there's no, unless you submit documentation that there was no DBM consent or any documentary approvals from DBM for that modification of that allotment. Second, I'd like to ask the ICT, is it correct that the 1.1 billion partly came from the NBP appropriation and part from the free public Wi-Fi?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
600 million, Your Honor, came from the National Broadband Plan Fund, and another 500 million came from the free Wi-Fi project.
And my understanding is the intent of this questionable project is an MBP, a National Broadband Plan type of project. Is that correct? Because it's fiber optic.
Mr. Chair, may I refer to the project manager of NBP?
Your name again, sir?
Marlon Biagtan, ma'am.
Okay, I'll rephrase the question. So the intended project, this questionable project, is really because it's infra, it's a National Broadband Plan type of project.
Yes, Your Honor.
Correct? Okay. So is the COA here or DBM, because you partly used free public Wi-Fi funds, is it not technical malversation? May I ask the COA for their opinion? It's put on the record that part of the funds came from the free public Wi-Fi, 500 million.
Your Honor, may we ask Job Aguirre to rise for an oath? You already did? All right. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. With regards to that, sir, we could not make audit conclusion as of now because all of the documentation we required from DBM, from DICT, is not yet submitted to us.
Okay.
But if your line of questioning, putting aside that documentation, it is malversation, technical malversation.
Okay, thank you for that. Is the DBM here?
Yes, Your Honor. May we recognize Director Quazon? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Did the DBM issue any consent, any documentation as to this transfer to the MMDA? Because later on, Madam Chair, I'm going to ask a question for all transfers of the DICT, in particular for the MMDA.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Based on records po of the Bureau concerned for the ICT, none po. There's no authority for the transfer issued by the DBM, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In other agencies, if there are similar transfers, my understanding is because of Section 78, where you modify essentially the intended purpose of an appropriation, that the head of agency must submit certain documents and get some sort of documentation from DBM. So is that correct, Madam Chair?
Yes, sir. Pursuant to Section 78 of the General Provisions of the General Appropriations Act, rules on modification in the allotment. So for the DBM should authorize or approve modifications, number one, from one allotment class to another. Number two is from one operating unit to another. And number three is within a special purpose fund po.
Okay, thank you. Would the DICT current management, the highest ranking official, I think is USEC Mercado. Would you agree with that interpretation, USEC?
Can I again hear from the DBM the final the statement?
DBM, you're now recognized again.
Sir, it's under Section 78 of the General Provisions of the General Appropriations Act. That is rules on modification in the allotment.
Your Honor, I think the statement is correct. It pertains to the modification on the allotment. It means that if the fund will not be procured based on the purpose on the line item in the GAA section, it must have an approval by the DBM.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So DICT agrees with that. Does the MMDA, may I ask, I don't want to put you on the spot, sir. USEC, I have the highest regard for you, sir. I know of you. I know you just came in 2 weeks ago. You've heard the discussion. You're now the you're now a USEC.
Deputy Chairman po.
You're now the
Deputy Chairman po.
Deputy Chairman. Would you agree with this, with my interpretation that that transfer of 1.1 billion is illegal based on the Section 78, based on the legal opinion of the DICT? So my question, sir, to help this government, you are appointees by the president. You're appointees of no less than the Malacanang president who just sat a few months ago. The reason all the members are here is part of a right of oversight. Our frustration with the free public Wi-Fi program and the NBP plan, and we want to do some good. So my question to you, USEC, having heard the DICT, COA, that in their opinion it could be technical malversation, it did not comply with DBM. May I ask for your opinion, sir?
If I may, Madam Chair, Chairman Tiangco and
Nice music.
and Honorable Daza.
One.
At this point, after hearing all this information, many of which or most of which are new to me, yes, I think this needs to be reviewed thoroughly. And as far as if we are willing to give back the funds to the ICT, then it would be better that all the agencies concerned, plus of course the recommendation from the committee, will be taken all together to come up with a win-win solution for everybody. But let it be understood that we are not objecting to returning the funds, Madam Chairman and Honorable Daza.
Thank you, Chair, Madam Chair, for that assurance. Considering also that no less than your former chairman and now Secretary of DILG has requested you the funds. Now, I want to wrap up. I think the reason I had asked Chairman Tiangco for a joint committee, because I think for the next 2.5 years, we will focus, I will personally put in time in the committee in ICT. But may I ask SBMA, so they can be discharged, have there been any funds transferred to SBMA? Because I heard they were here.
Your SBMA, you're recognized. Please reply to the query of Congressman Daza.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chairman. Wala pong fund pong transfer po sa amin. But we have a requested po na ma-include po yung pre-port sa project ng DICT.
Okay. Thank you. I support that request. Thank you for that. Under the law, it's a public, if it's a public property, public area, it should be included. The PITC, may I ask if you've been a beneficiary of any transfers from DICT? I won't even ask about other agencies because I know you have many. Could you tell us how much, when, and essentially the status of those funds? And could you provide a report to the committee, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair?
Good afternoon, Your Honors. Yes, Your Honor, we have fund transfer in PITC, but those years I was not yet with PITC then, but it's in the report. I already gave the whole committee a copy of our report, and to disclose, we have there have been a fund transfer since 2017 up to 2018, Your Honors, but to date, from 2021 up to this point, there was no fund transfer anymore. And the amount is 3.5 billion. However, we have returned already 1.377 billion, Your Honors, and also provided in the report are the acknowledgement of the fund transfer and also the returns to the Bureau of Treasury during my time. We have also sent you the annexes that it has been received by the Bureau of Treasury, Your Honors.
May I request a copy of that, Madam Chair, from the COMSEC?
We will distribute, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. May I ask DICT or any other individuals online or here of any transfers from DICT?
Your Honor, may I be recognized? Actually, Your Honor, upon assuming the position this August, we discovered several downloads from the previous administration. Included here are the mentioned MMDA download, which was already we got it back from the Baguio local government, and it's with the Treasury right now. There was also the UNDP download. But the UNDP download, we are in discussion already with the UNDP on how we can have a more practical approach on those download because it's still under a contract, I believe. We had a meeting last October regarding this, and hopefully, as a part of the solution, we will reinstitute the committee so that we can decide whether we should rescind the contract and get back the funds, or to have a better amendment to the contract so that all the funds can be repurposed properly. Aside from that, we have, I think there was also a download with the local government of Ifugao, but I think it was already completed. And I think that's it, sir. And PITC also.
Could Chair, could the DICT submit a report to the committee, both committees, and to myself, a summary of all those downloads? And I'll leave it up to you, Chairman Chanco, to take over and those if you have concerns on that. But I just wanted to bring that to light as part of our right of oversight. May I ask the PITC, are you planning on returning the funds back? You said you have 1.5 billion left. Am I correct?
We have returned, sir, Your Honor, the 1.3 something billion, Your Honor, 902 before I came into PITC, and during my time, all the projects that are not moving, I've already talked to the ICT that can we do something about it, because I don't want the funds staying in PITC as of the moment. And recently, I think yesterday, they ordered a memorandum stating that all contracts that will not be completed by December 31 of this year, they have to return the funds. So PITC doesn't have a problem of returning the funds. We are indeed welcoming that idea rather than the money staying in our agency, Your Honors.
Chair?
Yes.
Madam Chair. Just to put on the record, Madam Chair, I had the Committee on ICT COMSEC show a copy, my copy of the Memorandum of Agreement to Secretary Kaintik, and just to verify and validate that it is his signature in this MOA dated April 28, 2022. Is that correct, Secretary?
Yes po, Madam Chair,
Okay.
Congressman Daza.
Okay, thank you. And then I have copies, enlarged copies of two separate checks dated the same day, April 28, 2022, the day the MOA was signed for 500 million pesos and 600 million, signed by Secretary Caintek. Is that correct? Both checks?
From my ocular inspection, it would seem so, Madam Chair.
Do you recall signing those checks?
As I could recall it po, sir.
Thank you. And also, let me put on the record, Nestor Bongato were the signatories in those checks. Okay, that's all for me, Chair, Madam Chair.
Yes, any other members who wish to make questions, clarifications?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
so Madam Chair,
Yes, Congressman Abante. you're right.
the chairperson of the Committee on Public Accountability and Good Government made mention of the GAA rule, no? So ibig sabihin, you would like to correct the assumption of Secretary Caintek. We'd like to correct your assumption that you do not need to inform Congress about that because it is in the Republic Act as you have said, di ba? May RRR yan, Republic Act na yan eh. Pangalawa, you've got to remember we have the Oversight Committee here and the Oversight Committee tells us that every disbursement approved by Congress must be informed about it. Secretary Caintek. But you said a moment ago it should not be, di ba?
I note that po, Congressman po.
No, you don't only note. You have to agree with us because we approved the budget.
So yeah, we're correct. Buti na lang pala, ano ngayon, malakas ang wifi. Nakita namin kaagad-agad. Kung hindi, kawawa naman kami dito.
Oh,
All right, so we will call on Congressman Acop for another interpolation. Hindi ba tapos?
diba? Oh, I just would like to ask. You should agree with us because we have the Oversight Committee and we have the right to be informed. Kayo na, malinaw, sanayan mo, hindi dapat eh. Hindi dapat eh.
Madam Chair, as far as I know, when the project was concepted and crafted, the MOA, the same purposes were done. Yung kalahati po is on the fiberization. Yung kalahati po is to create the Wi-Fi sites. So as far as I could recall, when we initiated the MMDA project, parehas po ang purpose eh. Gumawa ng fiber at maggumawa ng Wi-Fi. So I did not I was under the impression that walang modification of allotment because there's actually two projects fused into one to complement each other po.
Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, nandun na tayo. Ang inaano ko, yung kaninang answer mo that hindi na kinakailang i-inform ang Kongreso tungkol dito.
Madam Chair, kasi nga po, Congressman, Madam Chair, hindi ko siya naisip ipa-inform sa oversight kasi parehas it fulfills the same tawag dito, objectives po. And we were consistent naman po, sir, with the GAA allotment po.
Well, anyway,
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, I just would like to ask COA to tell us, no, kung ano to, di ba? I mean, binabagi kanina, meron technical malversation eh. And only COA could make a decision on that, di ba? I mean, anong gagawin niyo tungkol dito? Have you heard the whole thing? So what are you going to do about this?
With all due respect, sir, we will wait for the documents that we required from DICT. We issued the audit query memorandum. So we gave them 15 days. So we will study it carefully and we will wait on the explanation of Secretary Kainting with the documents before we could finally come up with a final audit conclusion on the matter, sir.
15 days is starting today?
Yeah. And then we issued the AQM audit query memorandum on December 1, they receive it. So there have a lot of documentation we need to study because the attachment to the voucher was only the MOA and the project proposal, very general. So yung detalye, sir, talagang wala. So we need to study it carefully. After 15 days.
Malapit na yung 15 days.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.